What's up, my mind your money business folks? It's me, yet again, with another video. The stock market is not open, so I'm not talking about the stock market today. But what I am talking about, I'm posing the question, how are Americans doing financially? And on my channel, I will be talking about all things money. However, life is not all about money, because we've all heard the saying, money is the root of all evil. Money itself has no feelings. It's a thing that we use. So it's not money that's evil. It's how people use money that can be, defined as evil, right? And also in this thing we call life, there are many different pieces of this puzzle that makes a good life. And money just so happens to be one of them. So I'm just talking about that one thing. So hopefully that's not an issue. And if it is an issue, that's not my problem. But again, during these discussions, right, when I talk about, say, what could be considered or not what could be considered, what's considered an issue, and what people need to do in order to make it better in their lives financially, I also plan to attack it with, options, something to think about on how you can solve that issue or that problem. And I am also a person who believes in, you cannot give advice that you have not followed. You can't tell people how to be financially savvy if you're not savvy. You can't tell people how to become a millionaire if you're not one, right? You can't tell people to live below their means if you're not living below your means. You can't tell people to budget if you don't budget. And I do all of those things. I am him, right? So how are Americans doing financially is what I have some information on. And so here it says, I can't see. It says more than a quarter of U.S. adults are struggling financially. So here's the thing, adults, especially if you have kids, what do you think is going to happen when your kids become adults? They're going to be struggling financially also. Not all of them, but a lot of them. Not all of them, but some of them, right? It says here, 72% of Americans reported living comfortably or doing okay, according to December 2023 data from the Federal Reserve. Because here, me, not here, but me, I am not an expert, but the information that I put out on my YouTube channel, it comes from experts. It comes from surveys, from the Census Bureau, from the Federal Reserve, from the banks, so on, and from the stock market. So I'm not just talking, out of my ears and pulling information from the ether, giving it to you as true. The Federal Reserve said this in December of 2023. Again, let me start over. More than a quarter of U.S. adults are struggling financially. 72% of Americans reported living comfortably or doing okay. And then if you were to tune in to Dave Ramsey's podcast, who has millions of subscribers and millions and probably hundreds of millions of views, you hear these same Americans call in talking about their struggles with their finances. And some of these people are making a lot of money. Some of these people are doctors, dentists, lawyers. They come from every walks of life. So it says here, the remaining 28% were either just getting by or finding it difficult to get by. And I know a lot of those people who are just getting by are having problems getting by. I personally know them. Well, not them. I know some people. Put it that way. The 72%, at least doing okay, is the lowest share since at the onset of COVID-19 pandemic in April 2020. Prior to 2020, the rate hadn't dipped that low since 2016. So what happened? So do Americans feel better or worse off financially than before? The Federal Reserve tracks whether people feel their financial situations are improving or worsening in the U.S. Yeah, they track it in the U.S. That's what the Federal Reserve does. In 2023, 31% of respondents felt they were worse off than the year prior. Wow. This is down from 35% in 2022, but still 11 points higher than the 20% of respondents who felt they were better off than a year ago. From 2015 to 2021, more Americans felt their financial situations were improving than worsening. The opposite has been true in 2022 and 2023. So what are Americans' main financial challenges? Let's see what those are. Over the past 2 years, more respondents cited inflation as the reason for their financial difficulties than any other cause. Inflation reached a 40-year high of 9.1% in June of 2022 and has yet to return to the Federal Reserve's target of 2%. That is true. Inflation, in 2022, things were not looking good. Inflation was at its highest. The market was all red. I stopped investing, which was a big mistake on my part. I should have kept dollar cost averaging, but I was in my feelings, right? And this is what happens to people or to an individual who does not have a plan. When things reach an all-time high, like inflation, prices went up, meaning things cost more. It costs more to finance things. It costs more to purchase consumer items, right? When you don't have a plan, when things like this happen, you're doing worse in your finances, in the finance department. It says here from 2015 to 2021, more Americans felt their financial situations were improving than worsening. But the opposite was true in 2022 and 2023. And what happened in 2022? Inflation went high. The cost of goods and services went up. It went up, people. It went up. And then when the demand is high for a lot of things, that means they can start charging more money because you think you need it, so they're going to charge you more. Or you may need it, so they're going to charge you more. It sucks for the consumer, but hey, that's how it is, in business, right? Just like the housing market. Even though the interest rates are high, the housing prices went higher. So does education impact financial security? Adults with higher levels of education were more likely to feel financially secure. In 2023, 87% of respondents with a bachelor's degree or more reported doing at least okay, compared to 67% of people with some college or a technical or associate's degree, and 63% of people with only a high school diploma or GED. So education does matter, people. The lowest rate of reported financial security was among people who did not finish high school or an equivalent. Less than half reported doing okay financially. When you're not educated, when you're not aware of your capabilities, when you're not following your passion, when you're just taking whatever life gives you, you're not going to be doing okay in life. You can't continue to work at a fast food restaurant with 3 kids and say you are a single person. It's not a good life to live. I remember when I was a kid, in the mid-90s, or teenager in the mid-90s, to me, I thought fast food restaurants were for kids. I thought that is what we were supposed to do as teenagers after high school and for the summer. I never imagined working there as an adult and expecting that income to take care of my family. Again, that's just the way that I looked at it, because during the mid 90s, or maybe even before that, I never really paid attention before that, only because I was working as a teenager. I worked at Hardee's. Yeah, I worked at Hardee's. It was a lot of kids there, and there was most kids work during the summer when we were out of school, and that's where they work. I think as long as you were over the age of 16. So if you dropped out of school and you have no trade, you have no passion that you're working on, because not everyone is the same. I'm not saying that you have to go to college to be successful, because there are a lot of people who have dropped out of college, never gone to college, and they're multimillionaires. It just depends on what your plan is. What is your plan? You can't drop out of anything and not have a plan and expect life to be all peaches and creams, right? So, yeah. So, do some racial groups feel better off financially than others? Over the last 11 years of available data, Asian adults have consistently reported the highest rate of financial security, followed by white adults. Black and Hispanic adults reported the lowest rates of doing comfortably or okay. In 2023, though, Black Americans were the only racial group that reported doing better than in the year prior, going from 64 to 68%. That's interesting. I would say that's a great thing. Like me, well, I'm Black. There's so much information out there. There's so many stories, so many movies, so many conversations that talk about what have happened to those that look like me, and how it's a problem, how we're lazy, we're gangsters, we're drug addicts, we're drug dealers. And I would say, when you grow up in that, not just that environment, but growing up in a place where that's all you see, even on television, and this is how you're portrayed in music and movies, you start to believe that's how you're supposed to act. It's all psychological. I know movies are not real. People for the longest time thought what these rappers were saying in their music was real. And then you learn that some of these guys grew up in suburban neighborhoods. They didn't even grow up in these ghettos that they rap about. So it's all storytelling, and you can start to believe those stories and try to emulate what you see, thinking that it's cool. And then those around you, your peers, are doing the exact same thing. And you notice the reaction they get, like say from the girls. And so it can be confusing, right? But either way, you can fall prey to that, and then it doesn't end well. And it's same thing with finance. If you grew up poor, you may think that it was meant for you to be poor. I never thought that. I always felt that I deserved more. I don't know why. I was never satisfied with the status quo or how I grew up. I wanted more. I wanted to see more. I wanted to experience more. And also, I wanted to be able to provide for my family. I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I would pick up on clues throughout my life. Because I believe when you create a plan, and when you start having good thoughts, and you start imagining a better life for yourself, things are going to happen. You're going to notice things. Someone may say something, and for me, this is what happened to me. And I picked up on clues. Like certain people would enter my life and say something, and I was like, my brother sent home his sea bag from the military. I'd never thought about joining the military. I think I was 14 years old, my older brother. And I saw the sea bag, and my mom opened it because he sent gifts. I didn't say anything. I was watching my mom open the bag and pull out these things, and I instantly said, I'm joining the military. I said this in my head. I didn't say it to anyone else. And this is the first time I've ever talked about it. But yeah, I said it to myself. And so from the age of 14, because I graduated early, I graduated at 17. Well, not early, but I graduated at 17. That's what was in my head the whole time, from the age of 14 up until I graduated high school, the military. I didn't care about anything else. I was so ready to get out of high school because I was joining the military, and because of my age, my mom had to sign me up. Because I never talked about it, she would look at me and ask me, "Are you sure?" Because I guess she was wondering, like, you never say anything. I don't see any emotions coming out of you. Do you really want to join the military? And I remember the recruiter just standing there looking, and I said yes. I graduated high school, I think June 5th or 6th. I was gone June 11th and never looked back. And life has done nothing but improved for me. And I did exactly what I set out to do: help my family, take care of my family, and live a better life. You get what you ask for in life. And that's the problem. Most people aren't asking for anything, or they're not thinking the best. And I believe the best time to ensure that people are thinking positively are when they're younger. When they're younger. Why do you think the media, the music, and everything is geared towards kids? They're selling stuff to your kids. They're not targeting you, because we as an adult, right? We're like, okay, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that anymore. I've learned my lesson. But they're getting your kids. Then your kids, I want this, I want that, because Christina has it, Bobby has it, Glenda has it, Sean has it. I want what they have. Give me this, mommy. Give me this, daddy. You know what I'm saying? The kids, when you start bum rushing people's minds with stuff, you start wanting what you're being programmed to want. Not your wants, but what they want you to want. And by the time you realize that you've been in this dream, in this trance, you're in a ton of debt. You're like most Americans who are living okay, who don't have a plan, who are not financially in a good place, who don't know how to budget, who are not investing, who don't own homes, who don't have wills, who don't have life insurance, who don't know. They just don't know. Like, I had someone text me last night and said, I wish I could, I'm using my phone, but the individual said, I am in such a bad place. And I said, what do you mean? He's like, because of my age, I don't know what to do. And this person is over 40 years old. And I said, hey, no problem. I asked him, do you work tomorrow? I said, give me a call tomorrow, let's talk. Because at least he's recognizing that he's not in a good place at the age of 40. The sooner you recognize that there's a problem, the better. Because as soon as you start working on it, you will start to feel better. But understand, the journey is not going to be easy. Me joining the military, wanting to do better, see the world, and take care of my family was hell. Not all hell, but it was not easy. Do you know how hard? Then I was in the Navy. Do you know how hard it is to be on board those ships around so many different people, and you can't go anywhere? You don't even go outside because there's nothing but the ocean. The smells, the attitudes. You would get in like some of the most craziest arguments. It could be over a broom or a dustpan or a piece of the craziest thing. Yeah, and then you're surrounded by so many different attitudes. People from many different places with different ways of thinking and being, and you have to work together, and it can be mayhem at times. Trust me. It's not easy, people. It was not easy. And it's just the same goes for success. That's why it's easy to get into debt. It's easy to make, bad decisions because you don't think. You don't think. And then most oftentimes people see the success of others, but they don't see the work that went into being successful. You're seeing the finished product. And even though you're no way near that, you're trying to be that person or that individual who has all of their success on display. You're trying to come from nothing to get to that, like within a year. It's not possible. It's not possible. I am still in a humbling place. Even though I'm in a good place financially, health wise, I'm in a good place. But I tell myself to remain humble because there's so much more that I need to learn. There's so much growth that needs to happen to where I never think that, okay, I've learned enough. You never learn. Because this is what life is always going to challenge you, people. No matter where you get in life. Like, why did Bill Gates still make money? Why does Jeff Bezos still make money? Why does Elon Musk, President-elect Trump, all these people who are millionaires and billionaires, why do they keep making money? Because what happens in life, for me, what I've noticed even on my lower level, right? As you grow and you learn different things, you feel the need to keep growing and learning. Life would not allow you to take a break. That's why people are stressed out. People are worried because life is still pushing you forward. You're still getting older. So if you're getting older, then that means life is still moving and you need to move with that time. And a lot of people are not keeping up with the time. They're trying to stay in that low place and life is saying, no, you need to do better. No, you need to move forward. And they want to stay where they're at. And then they call it depression for some people, in my opinion, right? I could be wrong. I'm not a doctor, right? But that's just how I see it. For some, not all, but for some. And I can also say that what I'm speaking of is an example of me, right? I feel like life is always pushing me forward. And if I get in a depressed state, it's because I'm not moving. I'm not doing anything. I'm trying to be okay with where I'm at. And life is saying, no, there's still more to learn. There's still more to do. So keep going. Keep going. Go on vacation and then come back and then, okay, keep going. Or even while you're on vacation, you're going to do something. That's all it is. And a lot of us, have been affected mentally, physically, psychologically. And so because of those effects, in my opinion, it keeps you held down. It's like being a slave. You're no longer a physical slave on a plantation, but what has happened to you mentally, physically, and psychologically, it holds you back. And it can also cause self-destruction. It can make you hate yourself. It can make you hate others. It makes you depressed. It makes you feel like the world is against you. You are pretty much a victim. And I would say when things are done to you mentally, physically, and psychologically, yeah, it makes you a victim. You have no other choice but to become a victim because you don't understand why it's happening. You don't understand why it's happening, but the one that caused the problem knew exactly what they were doing. You just haven't figured it out yet. It's a game. It's a game. It's like, just like they say, words are more powerful than, than hitting a person. Or you can say you may hit one person, right? But if you put out some negative words or if you speak some negative things, it can affect a whole lot of people. Like some people's speeches and the things that they've said, on social media has upset millions of people. They reply back. You see them replying back on Twitter, on YouTube, on Instagram. Your words are powerful. And those words can hold people back. You don't have to physically touch them. But those words, That's why you have to be careful with the things that you say. Your words have meaning and they have power. And I also think what goes around comes around. When you speak negatively to me towards other people, you're speaking that to yourself as well. And I would say, if you don't believe that, just think of all the times why, when you're wondering why aren't things working out in my favor. I'm doing the right thing. I started this, I started that, I'm helping this, I'm helping that, but I am not feeling like things are working the way that they should be. Think about some of the things that you say. You know, that's why I believe people need to think more. They need to mind, just like I call this, mind your money business. You need to mind your business. Mind your business. This is the one thing that we've been given for free, and most of us don't have control over. That commercial comes on. I forgot that channel that sells stuff all the time, the TV network or whatever. They're selling stuff. You see something, you have to buy it, or you see something and you start comparing yourself to what you're seeing, and then you start thinking lowly of yourself because you don't feel like you are that. You see that car, other things have more control over you than you have control over your mind. And then when you try to tell yourself to stop thinking such negative thoughts, you can't. And so because you feel and think that you can't, you don't stop. That's why everyone is not successful. And there are many roadblocks that are out there that can keep you from being successful. But whatever those roadblocks are, they can be overcome. But it won't happen without a fight. And the fight is more mental these days and psychological than physical, in my opinion. Back in the day, it was physical. These days, you have to think. Mind your business. Stop putting so much of your energy out there on subjects, matters, and people that you don't know. A lot of these social media influencers, these actors, these musicians, these politicians, you don't know them. But they are people, but you don't really know them. You only know what is shared on the on those platforms, on different platforms, right? But we don't really know them, right? We don't know the inner workings of things. But what we do know is the inner working of our house, whether it be an apartment that we're renting, a home that we own, the job that we work in. We know those things. So why not pay more attention to that? And you can still be successful by focusing on yourself. Try it. Try focusing on just you. Try controlling this and having it think more positively about you, and see how hard it truly is. And that's why most people don't do it. And the successful people in this world have discipline, and they focus on themselves and their families and what they want and what they're trying to do. I can't speak for all people, but I do know that discipline is needed in order to be successful. You have to have some type of passion. You need to love what it is that you do. You need to be of service to other people somehow, some way. Like these business owners, whether we like them or not, Elon Musk, for an example, he has a company. He employs thousands and thousands of people. That means people are able to take care of their families. I don't know what despite his political stuff these days, the man still is of service somehow, And you have to think. Mind your money business. Start minding your business and get out of other people's business. Stay out of other people's houses. Stay out of other people's business. It's easy, it's interesting, it's entertaining, but it's also a distraction. It keeps you from focusing on you when you're tuning in to this distraction every day, because it's out there every day, because I see it. I see it. And you can go on YouTube. I'm on YouTube a lot. Some of these videos that's filled with negativity has hundreds of thousands and millions of views, or people showing off their cars, their homes. But when you try to give people information on what can help them, you know, it's slow. But that's just how it is. And I am now okay with that. Before I used to have a problem with it because I've started so many channels and stopped. But now I understand it. Just like the rich, there's only a few or a small percentage of millionaires or multi-millionaires and billionaires in the world because they think differently. They think differently from the many. And so information like this isn't going to be something that everybody is tapped into because they're so negative. You know, negativity rules. Even though we complain about how negative other people are, but we tune into it because it's more entertaining. It gets our blood going and makes us feel certain type of things. And I would tell you this, being financially savvy, having no debt, living below your means, being a multi-millionaire can be boring. Well, it would be considered boring. Because when you're like trying to create generational wealth, when you're trying to help people, you're not going out every night. You know, you may go out at times, you know, but you don't put yourself in compromising positions or situations. You don't just go hang around anybody. You either stay to yourself or you hang around other like-minded people. And other like-minded people who are all about being successful and not who are just thinking about being successful, but who are actually successful. They're small in number. You know? And they tend to hang together. And they're not as wild and crazy as you think. Again, you can have your wild and crazy moments, but it's not happening every day of the week. Like these images and likenesses that are being sold on social media, like every day is a party. You know, and maybe for these younger people, maybe it is because they're young and energetic, but you can't maintain that type of lifestyle forever. There has been an exit plan for these young people who are doing this, you know, exciting thing. Do you remember the show Jackass? On MTV, they used to come on, they used to do these crazy and you don't see them doing that these days. No, because they've aged out. What are they doing now? I think the one guy still makes moves. The one guy I used to like that was the craziest was what was his name? Steve-O. Right. They're older now. They're probably in their late 30s or 40s, but when they were in their 20s, they had all this energy doing crazy, outlandish, you know, things. And it was entertaining. But again, you can't maintain that lifestyle forever. So that's why, you know, wealth is something that is a gradual growth over time. It's gradual, people. This whole get rich quick thing, I would not want to get rich. Knowing what I know now, I would not want to get rich quickly, because I would not have been prepared 15 years ago if I was a millionaire or a multi-millionaire. I wouldn't have had the mindset to deal with that type of wealth. Or, well, that's nothing to some people, but I would not have had the wherewithal to do the right thing with the money. Because when you're broke, or you're used to being broke, and you come into a lot of money, you still have a broke mindset. So a broke mindset with a lot of money is going to get rid of the money. They're going to spend the money on stuff that's not appreciating in value. They're not going to put their money in assets. However, you may have people now that have learned from those people from the past. But just think about, look at the millions and billions of dollars that are being made from the lottery. People are spending hundreds of dollars a week, a month, hoping to win the lottery. And some, a majority of them, would never win. But what if they had just taken that same money and invested it in the stock market? Or saved it up for a down payment on a home that they could pass on to their family? You know, it's not, winning the lottery is not going to happen for everybody. So, yeah. So here, the last thing, because I've been talking a lot, it says, do parents feel they're doing okay financially? Parents. It says the financial picture is more difficult for parents living with children at home, and the gap between adults with and without children has widened. In 2023, 64% of parents reported doing at least okay compared to 75% of all adults. The 11-point gap was matched only one other time over the last 9 years data in 2020. Again, the gap between adults with and without children has widened. You know, I would say back in the day, people were having kids. These days, people are not having kids. So it's like for my parents, I can help my parents. I help them, right? I can help. Yeah. So if you're not having kids, or these younger people are not having kids, they're putting their careers, which is, I won't say that. But either way, if you're producing less offspring, who's going to continue to work to make this thing we call life in the world go round with the system that we currently have set up? And if this system falls apart, what do you think is going to replace it? Like, in order for Social Security, which is an issue, to continue going, you need people paying into it. But if you have less workers paying into it, then what's going to happen? So when these machines and technology takes over and you don't have people doing the work, what's going to happen? You're going to have to take whatever you get. You're going to have to take whatever you get. Because you haven't paid into the system. You're not working. So if you're not working, you know, we live in a life, you know, where you give and you receive. If you're not giving anything and you're always asking, then you shouldn't expect much. And you may not get anything. Hopefully things won't get that way, but I just want people to start thinking, you know, start being productive, being more productive, start thinking outside of the box. Stop trying to get these quick wins and come up with, like, have long-term and short-term goals and keep it moving. Budget, live below your means. Stop trying to keep up with the Joneses. Think, you know, go after your passion. You have it for a reason. You know, if you go to college for something that you really want to do and be. Right? And don't just go to college just to go to college. Have a plan. You need to start thinking about this. Parents, you need to start talking to your kids about what is their plan. Don't have them go to college without a plan. You have people that go to college and they don't even know what they're going to major in. They don't think about their major until like maybe their second or third year in college. What? What's the point? Right? So that's why you need to make one. If not, you're going to have to take whatever life gives you. And whatever life gives you when you're not thinking, it's not going to be much. And you're going to have to take what you get. But understand that the choice is actually yours. We have more control over our lives than we think. But because we have given away this to so many things, all these outside entities, we believe that we have no control and power over our lives. And that's what we have to change. Again, think, people, mind your business. Mind the business that pays you. Right? Mind the business that's taking care of you. So work on you. You. The answer is you. That thing that you are looking for here on earth, right? Let's say you are the answer. Let's just put it that way. You are the answer. You need to start coming up with goals. You need to start thinking about what it is that you want. And then when you start thinking about these things, working on these things, writing down these things, visualizing these things, pay attention to the clues. You may meet someone. Someone may tell you about something. Like for me, when I saw that sea bag that my brother sent home from the Navy, I'm like, oh, I'm going to the military. Because before that, I was watching the National Geographic's channel a lot, right? And I used to watch, I used to love when they talked about Africa, Europe, and India, the Middle East. And I was like, wow, you know, and guess what? I've traveled to all of those places. So there are clues. Life gives us clues. I don't know if you're like a religious person or whatever, or you believe in God, or you're atheist. I don't know what it is that you may believe in, but ask and ye shall receive. And where there is no vision, the people perish. When you pretty much, if you don't have a plan for your life, you're planning to fail. You're gonna have to take the scraps, and you don't want the scraps. You want the best of the best. But in order to have the best of the best, life is trying to show you you're gonna have to go out there and get it. You don't have to take it from anyone else. There's enough out there for everybody. Like when I first started investing, I could not believe the money that is made from investments into like paper assets, i.e. the stock market, that these companies pay dividends. And I was like, are you freaking kidding me? And it will remain that way. I don't see the process of investing into the stock market shutting down anytime soon. I don't see that happening. You can believe that it's going to happen based on different world events, but it's not going to happen. To me, those are just distractions. Just keep your heads forward, stay locked in, come up with a plan, discipline yourselves, mind your business, get control of this, and all will be well. I've talked enough. I've talked longer than I should have. Hopefully, I don't even remember anything. Hopefully, I stayed on topic. Either way, it had to do with money. How Americans doing financially? Okay, right? They're doing okay, just okay. I'm sorry, but I'm gonna end this video. I might go for a walk. The sun is out. It's coming out. So yeah, all right, you guys take care. Like, comment, subscribe, share this video. Let me know what you think. If you think anything at all, think. Start thinking about ways you can improve your life, but also know that when you implement these changes, it's not going to be easy. Your old programming, your old way of being and thinking is going to challenge those new thoughts, those new ideas, because it's not used to that. It's used to your old way of being, and your old way of being could have been sad. And now you're trying to be happy. You know, it's just, again, it's all psychological. All right, so you guys take care. Oh, a disclaimer again, I am not a financial advisor. I'm not pretending to be one. Any and all information on my channel is for entertainment purposes only and reflects my opinions, right? And I do read articles from the experts. So before you invest any of your money and do anything, you know, please consult with a financial advisor, a real estate agent, whomever, before doing anything with your money if you're not comfortable doing it yourself. All right, so you guys take care. Peace.